several verses that people take out of context. And they change it and they say, why does the Quran say kill all the Jews and Christians wherever you find them? Have you heard about this? Yeah. And usually when they come with that, they're twisting the verses to make it say something it didn't say. Because we don't have any order in the Quran to kill Jews and Christians. It just doesn't say that. What we have is a verse, and not just one, there's a couple verses about the subject, but it's clear what it's talking about, and the word it's being used is qital. And qital is a broad word. Like when you say the word fight, for instance. Fight what? I might be fighting back an attack. I might be fighting something in my mind. I might be fighting with a person. I might, because fight is a general word. Hit is a general word. Like hit the point, or hit something, or hit you with an idea. So these are general terms. So you have to know specifically what did it mean. The word qital, which is used in those verses, actually is dealing with something called combat. In English, combat. Okay? And then it continues to the next verse, 190, and it says, now, giving them the permission to do what they couldn't do for 13 years, which was to engage in combat. Now, usually the translation says fight, but it is a fight which is combat. It's not a fight where they're going to like wrestling or boxing. No, it's a fight with swords. And it was an order for them, now you can engage in combat against them if they engage in combat against you. Because what had happened for several times, they had gone all the way from Medina to Mecca. Now if you walked all the way from Modesto to Los Angeles, walking, and you got there and you wanted to go to Disneyland, and when you got there they said, we're not going to let you in, you got to go back. Would you be happy? No. And this is more important because it's not Disneyland. This is something to fulfill obligation, which is the Holy Land pilgrimage for the Muslims. Similar to like Christians used to do this when they used to go to the Holy Land, this is the same for us to go and make pilgrimage. But they wouldn't let them in, and they promised, but come back again another year, okay, blah, blah, blah. And when they go back, they did it again. We're not going to let you in. And they couldn't fight them. That was not permissible. But now they got the permission. If they start a fight with you, then you can fight them. But if they stop, you have to stop. So Allah put a limit. Before, Arabs never had any limit. Never. They had a 40-year war over a camel race where they killed each other and killed each other and killed each other. It was horrible. But this was a big test. We were talking about tests. A big test for the Muslims was not to fight for 13 years while they watched their own relatives, who were called mushrikeen, pagans, idolaters, those who set up partners with Allah in worship, those bad people who had driven them out of their homes, stolen their property, abused them, cursed them, even raped their women, even beat them up, even killed them. They did all of these things to the Muslims. Muslims couldn't fight back. They wanted to, but the Prophet ﷺ would not let them, because we don't have any orders from Allah to do it. So now comes the verse. Where? In Medina. To do what? Combat them if they combat you. But if they stop, you have to stop. Allah does not like the transgressors. And you become a transgressor when somebody is not wanting to fight, but you want to fight. So clearly, this was spelling out something important. Then it continues. Next verse, 191. It says, and now the word qital is in the imperative form of the verb, to order you to kill them in combat. I'm putting in combat in parentheses because it belongs there. Kill them in combat, because obviously they're killing you in combat, where they're killing you, and turn them out from where they turned you out. This could only be in reference to what? To the people of Mecca, who were mushrikeen, who had killed them murdered them, slaughtered them, driven them out, put sanctions against them, tried to starve them to death for 2 years in the desert. Go back to your land. You can claim what's belonging to you now. You can go back, you can go and do your Hajj, you can do Umrah, and this is permission from Allah. First time it happened to me, I was at George Mason University giving a speech. After the speech, one came up to me. He's not Muslim. He was an old man, actually, and he knows Arabic, and he came in my face, and he said, "What do you say about a 53-year-old man that has sex with a 6-year-old girl?" Whoa, when he said this, I almost passed out, because I couldn't believe anybody would talk like this. I couldn't believe somebody would say something like this. I knew what he meant by what he said. I was so upset. I started taking my coat off. And I would give it to the sheikh who was with me. I said, just hold my coat. I'm going to go on this guy. And as I was taking my coat off, I looked at him and I said, this depends on your question. If it's a rhetorical question, or if you're insulting my prophet, in which case I'm going to take you out back and beat your head off your shoulders. He said, no, it's rhetorical. I said, in this case, it doesn't need an answer. Obviously, what he said, no Muslim would support this idea. Because our Prophet ﷺ never would do something like this. Our Prophet did not do what this man said. But the way he said it, people would think, this is Muhammad. Our Prophet ﷺ was the example for us. And he was the mercy to mankind. And here it comes. Are you listening? If, while you are listening to my answer, you like the answer so much that you say, that's better than what I have, are you going to be ready to make a move to something better? He said, yeah. And then I began to give the answer. First of all, the hadiths are in Bukhari, and it's two. One, it says Aisha's 6 years old, and her mother, listen to the hadith, her mother comes to her and takes her into the house. She's playing in the dirt. Her mother takes her into the house to her father. So far, did you hear the word sex in there? No. And her father is doing a tradition which is a part of the Arab tradition forever. He's offering his daughter in marriage to his best friend, someone who is a leader, someone who is very important to him, and he's saying, I want you to marry my daughter. But then what? She's back outside playing in the dirt. Yes or no? Yeah. Where did you hear sex in there? I think you've been standing in the checkout line of the grocery store too long looking at the tabloids with that word sex on it. Oh, that's all you're thinking about. This is not our Prophet ﷺ. The other hadith, she's older. The mother's taken to the father's offering her in marriage. And look what it said in the Quran in chapter 4, verse 19. Very clear, it tells, O you who believe, you cannot inherit women against their will. In order for a woman to get married, she has to be old enough to know what's going on and understand it, and old enough to have children. Yeah, otherwise she can't get married. It's not a legal marriage in Islam. Yes or no? So what do you think? It gives us the example that even though she was betrothed at an early age, they didn't get married until she was old enough. The man standing there going, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. It happened again when I was in Chennai. The same subject come up, and I told another one the same way. He said, really? I said, yes, but I'm going to ask you a question. Everything we know about their marriage is coming to us from her. Read what she said and think, out of 2,200 sayings or hadith from her, roughly 2,200, she is saying only what? The best things about her husband, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes or no? And all that she said again and again, she's praising him, loving him, caring about him. She talks about when she was young, she used to race with him, and she used to beat him. She said, I got older, I got heavy, and then he used to beat me in the races. She used to tease him. She played tricks on him. We know from the Quran some tricks that she played. Whoa, watch out. But still, he was a very caring and loving husband to her. So much so when he died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
He wanted her to be there. He died right there in that house with his head in her lap. And what was the last thing she did? She used a toothstick and she cleaned it for him and opened it up and put it in his mouth because she knew how much he liked it. And in this way and in this condition, he passed away. And for the rest of her life, she narrated from him and never said a single bad word ever about her husband. Do you know any women today who could go their whole life and never say something bad about their husband? Hello? Do you know a woman who can go even 1 year or 1 month or 1 week, maybe not even 1 day, and she's saying something about her husband? Aisha radiallahu anha never said a single bad word on her husband. Yes or no?